What happens aback the best unpredictable former admiral in American history sits bottomward with one of television's sharpest interviewers. The Graham Norton Show has apparent its allotment of awkward moments, celebrity feuds, and unexpected drama. But Annihilation could accept prepared the admirers for what abundant when Donald Trump appeared as a guest. This wasn't a Loof Edition promotional interview. This was a masterclass in tension, ego, and the affectionate of television that makes you angular advanced in your seat, clumsy to attending away. Before we dive into absolutely what went down, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a animated version beneath Cogent Me whose side you're on afterwards audition this story. Trust me, your activity to accept opinions. The evening. Started innocuously enough, Graham Norton, with his signature agreeableness and that mischievous glint in his eye, acclimatized Trump assimilate the famous red couch. The flat audience erupted in a mix of acclaim and uncertain murmurs. You could feel the electricity in the air. This was uncharted area for both men. Norton, accepted for accepting celebrities to let their bouncer bottomward with wine and witty banter, was Adverse Edition who never let their bouncer down. Trump, a man who had faced endless interviewers and emerged either arrive or defiant, was entering the area of a host who specialized in convincing alike the most media. Trained guests. Norton started with what seemed like a softball. "So, Donald, admirable to accept you here. I have to say, you're absolutely possibly the most talked about actuality on the planet. How does that feel?" Trump acclimatized into the couch, adjusting his tie. "Well, Graham, I'll acquaint you, it's tremendous. People love talking about me. I get ratings like nobody's anytime seen. Aback I'm on television, millions watch. Millions. Your appearance tonight, apparently the biggest audience you've any time had." The audience laughed, but it was cryptic whether they were bedlam with him or at him. Norton smiled, that animate smile that suggested he had article up his sleeve. "Yes, well, we do all appropriate for ourselves usually, but speaking of ratings and attention, you've certainly had your allotment of arguable moments. Some abilities say you advance on controversy." Trump leaned advanced slightly. "I don't thrive on controversy, Graham. I thrive on winning. I advance on actuality, right? Sometimes actuality appropriate makes people uncomfortable. That's not my problem. That's their problem." Norton nodded, swirling his wine glass. "Interesting. So, aback you said that affair about, what was it? Let me remember." He paused theatrically. "Ah, yes. Aback you suggested that assertive countries were, how did you put it? Not sending their best people. Were you actuality appropriate, or were you actuality controversial? The temperature in the allowance alone several degrees." Trump's jaw anchored almost imperceptibly. "I was actuality honest. Something that bodies in your business seem to accept abandoned how to be. I say what anybody abroad is thinking. That's why bodies adulation me." Norton's smile never wavered. "Do they, though? Adulation you. I mean, because I've apparent some rather large crowds of bodies who assume to feel quite differently. In fact, aback you visited London, there was that rather famous balloon, wasn't there?" The audience began to cackle with nervous laughter. This was the moment everyone would afterwards point to as the alpha of the unraveling. Trump's face shifted from assured to affronted in an instant. That airship was fabricated by losers. Sad. Affecting bodies who have nothing bigger to do than achieve balloons because they can't win elections. I won. They lost. The airship was tiny, by the way. The media fabricated it assume huge, but it was small. Actual small. Norton leaned back, acutely adequate himself now. Small Donald? It was rather large, actually. I saw it myself. Quite impressive in its own way. But let's move on, shall we? I'm analytical about your accord with the truth. You've been actuality arrested added, than conceivably any public amount in avant-garde history. Does that bother you? Trump's articulation rose slightly. Actuality checkers are afflicted news. Graham, they're biased. They accept an agenda. Aback I say something, it's true. When they say I'm wrong, they're wrong. It's actual simple. I accept the best information. I apperceive added than almost anyone about everything. Graham Norton, to his credit, maintained his composure beautifully. added than almost anyone about everything. That's quite a claim. So you'd apperceive more about, say, British backroom than someone who lives here. Trump didn't hesitate. Absolutely, I perceive your politicians. Some of them are a company of mine, abundant people. Some of them not so much. But I accept what's happening in Britain apparently bigger than most British people. The admirers was no longer laughing. They were watching with rapt attention, cat and mouse to see how far this would go. Norton bedeviled the moment. Fascinating. And you'd apperceive more about altitude science than climate scientists. Trump coiled his hand dismissively. Altitude change is a hoax created by China to achieve American manufacturing non-competitive. I've said this abounding times. The scientists you're talking about are paid to say what they say. I'm not paid by anyone. I'm independent. I anticipate for myself, Norton's eyebrows aloft slightly. You think altitude change is a hoax created by China? Alike admitting you've on multiple occasions apparent the furnishings of extreme weather, ascent sea levels, and have properties that are absolutely affected by these changes. Trump's face was wreathing now. My backdrop are fine. They're beautiful. The best properties in the world. And I apperceive what's a hoax and what isn't. I've been appropriate about everything, Graham. Everything. People doubted me aback I said I'd run for president. I won. Bodies doubted me when I said I'd body the wall. I congenital it. People agnosticism me now, and I'm still winning. Norton took a sip of his wine, letting the blackout adhere for aloof a moment too long. You congenital the wall. I'm not abiding, that's absolutely accurate, is it? I mean, portions were built, portions were renovated, but the entirety of what you promised didn't quite materialize, did it? This was the inflection point. Trump's entire demeanor changed. He was no best the confident showman. He was a man being challenged, actuality questioned, being treated not as the centermost of the universe but as a bedfellow who bare to answer for his statements. That's fake news, Graham. Typical media lies. The wall was built. It's there. It's protecting America. You can't aloof say things that aren't authentic on your show. The irony of that account was not lost on Norton or the audience. Norton leaned forward, his articulation calm but firm. Donald, I'm artlessly allurement questions based on about accessible information. If you're afflictive with questions, perhaps this wasn't the appropriate area for you. Trump stood up abruptly, his face now absolutely flushed. I'm not uncomfortable with anything. I'm the best comfortable person you'll anytime meet. What I'm uncomfortable with is actuality ambushed on the appearance that's declared to be fun and entertaining. This isn't journalism, Graham. This is a hit job. Norton remained seated. That signature calm, never abrogation his face, but there was something bluff in his eyes now. He gestured to the couch with his wine glass. Donald, amused, sit down. Nobody's ambushing you. I ask all my guests questions. Some of them are challenging. That's allotment of what makes conversation interesting, don't you think? Trump remained standing, attractive bottomward at Norton with almost buried fury. Interesting. You appetite interesting? Let me acquaint you what's interesting. What's interesting is that I agreed to appear on your little show, accord you the ratings boost you badly need, and this is how you amusement me. With disrespect, with fake questions based on afflicted news. The audience had gone absolutely silent. This wasn't the antic badinage they were accustomed to. This was genuine conflict, raw and unfiltered. Norton set his wine bottle bottomward on the table. His movements advised and measured. Little show. Donald, the Graham Norton Show is one of the best-watched chat shows in the world. We don't charge you for ratings. We arrive you because we thought it would be absorbing to have a conversation. Clearly, I was mistaken about your alertness to accept an actual conversation. Trump acicular at Norton, his voice rising. Don't you cartel allocution to me about conversation. I've had conversations with Apple leaders, presidents, kings, people who absolutely matter. You sit here on your red couch accepting celebrities drunk and allurement them asinine questions about their movies. That's not conversation, Graham. That's entertainment for bodies who don't have anything bigger to do. Norton stood up now, and while he was considerably shorter than Trump, he somehow seemed to occupy added space. Yes, it is entertainment. That's absolutely literally the point. But alike in entertainment, there's allowance for bluntness and accountability. You came actuality knowing full able-bodied what this appearance is. You agreed to sit on this couch, alcohol wine, and have a chat. What you're absolutely upset about is that I'm not abject over you the way you're acclimatized to. Trump laughed, but it was an acrid sound without any amusement in it. Fawning. I don't charge anyone to abase over me. My accomplishments allege for themselves. I've done added in 4 years than most people do in a lifetime. I've created jobs. I've adequate the economy. I've fabricated America admired again. What have you done, Graham? Fabricated people laugh. Congratulations. Actual, impressive. The airs in Trump's articulation was palpable, and Norton's acknowledgement was ice cold. Yes, actually, I accept fabricated people laugh. In a apple abounding of analysis and anger and bodies like you who advance on chaos, authoritative bodies beam is rather important. It brings joy. It creates moments of unity. It reminds bodies that we're all human. But aloft that, I've created an amplitude area honest conversations can happen, area people can be accessible and real. You, however, don't assume able of either. Trump's eyes narrowed. I'm added real than you'll any time be. Aggregate about me is real. My success, my businesses, my impact on history. You appetite to talk about actuality human? I affix with millions of people. Absolute people, working people, not the aristocratic snobs who watch your appearance and anticipate they're sophisticated because they beam at your jokes. Norton agee his arch slightly. Elite snobs. Donald, you were built into wealth. You've lived in a aureate tower with your name on it. You've spent your entire activity surrounding yourself with luxury and excess. And you accept the audacity to allocution about absolute bodies and working bodies as if you accept any idea what their lives are absolutely like. Trump stepped afterpiece to Norton, his presence advancing and imposing. I know exactly what their lives are like because I action for them every single day. I action adjoin bodies like you who look bottomward on them, who apish them, who think they're stupid. Those people elected me because they knew I was on their side. They knew I accepted them. What do you understand, Graham? How to ask vapid questions and cackle at your own jokes. Norton didn't back away. If anything, he seemed added airy now, as if Trump's assailant had confirmed something he'd already suspected. I understand that a back addition is this defensive, this affronted, at actuality asked simple questions. It usually means they're ambuscade something. What are you hiding, Donald? What are you so afraid of? That a babble on a babble show threatens you this much? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Trump's aperture opened and closed, searching for words. Aback he spoke. His voice was lower, but no beneath intense. I'm not abashed of anything. I've faced things you couldn't alike imagine. I've been investigated, prosecuted, attacked from every direction, and I'm still standing, still fighting, still winning. You anticipate your little questions scare me. You anticipate you can alarm me with your complacent British attitude in your wine glass. Norton best up his wine glass and took a slow, advised sip. I'm not trying to alarm you, Donald. I'm simply alleviative you the way I treat everyone else. With questions, with curiosity, with a bit of skepticism, when what your adage doesn't match reality. If that feels like intimidation to you, conceivably, you should ask yourself why. Trump affronted to the audience, spreading his accoutrements wide. You see this? This is what they do. They twist everything. They achieve you attending like the bad guy aback. All you're accomplishing is defending yourself. I came actuality in good faith, and I'm actuality attacked. This is exactly what happens every distinct time. The media, the establishment, they can't handle the truth, so they advance the messenger. Addition in the audience coughed, breaking the tension momentarily. Norton glanced at the audience and afresh aback at Trump. Donald, literally, cipher is advancing you. I asked you about things you've said publicly, decisions you've made publicly, and you've responded by insulting me, calumniating the show, insulting the audience, and arena the victim. Do you not see how cool that is? Trump befuddled his head, his expression one of atheism alloyed with contempt. Absurd. I'll acquaint you what's absurd. What's cool is that I accept to sit here and be lectured by an allocution appearance host about reality. You animate in a bubble, Graham, a nice adequate balloon where nothing you say or do has real consequences. I animate in the absolute world, where decisions matter. Area actions have weight. You wouldn't after most a day in my world. Norton smiled, and it was genuine this time. You're absolutely right. I wouldn't after most a day in your world because your apple is exhausting. It's connected conflict, connected drama, constant charge for validation and attention. My world, this apple is about connection and amusement and finding common ground. And yes, sometimes it's about captivation bodies answerable when they say things that are demonstrably false or harmful. If that's too abundant for you, afresh conceivably, you're right. Perhaps this wasn't the appropriate venue. Trump grabbed his anorak from the back of the couch, his movements aciculate and angry. You apperceive what, Graham? You're right about one thing. This isn't the right venue. This is a decay of my time. I thought maybe we could accept a real conversation. But you're aloof like all the rest. You accept your agenda, your narrative, and annihilation, I say, will change that. So, I'm done. I'm not activity to sit here and be disrespected on national television. Norton's articulation was calm, almost affable now, Donald. The only person who's been aweless tonight is you. But if you appetite to leave, nobody's endlessly you. The aperture is right there. Trump stared at Norton for a long moment, and in that silence you could feel the weight of every eye in the studio. The cameras connected rolling, capturing every additional of this unprecedented standoff. Trump's hand gripped his anorak so deeply his knuckles had gone white. He looked at the door, afresh aback at Norton, afresh at the audience, as if aggravating to find someone, anyone who would validate his position. Norton bankrupt the silence first, his articulation softer now, but no less firm. You know, Donald, I've interviewed hundreds of bodies on this couch. Actors, musicians, politicians, activists, bodies from every airing of life. Some of them accept done things they're not appreciative of. Some of them have made mistakes. But the ones I respect most are the ones who can acknowledge that, who can sit actuality and accept a real conversation afterwards defective to be right about everything. That takes strength. Real strength. Not the affectionate you project, but the affectionate that comes from being secure, abundant in yourself to be questioned. Trump's jaw clenched. Don't lecture me about strength. You accept no idea what backbone is. Backbone is standing up to an absolute arrangement that wants to abort you. Backbone is fighting a back anybody tells you to quit. Backbone is not abetment down, not apologizing, not giving them what they want. Norton nodded slowly. But what if what they appetite is aloof honesty? What if people aren't out to abort you? They're aloof beat by the constant need for aggregate to be a battle. What if you could aloof sit down, accept a glass of wine, and allocution like a accustomed person without axis it into a war? Trump laughed again, that aforementioned acrid sound. A normal person. Graham, I'm not a normal person. I've never been an accustomed person. Normal bodies don't become president. Normal bodies don't body empires. Normal bodies don't change the world. And yes, that agency, I don't do things the accustomed way. I don't sit actuality and play nice aback, I'm actuality attacked. Norton set his wine bottle bottomward with a soft click. But that's aloof it. Donald, you're not actuality attacked. That's what you're not understanding. Being questioned isn't the aforementioned as being attacked. Actuality captivated answerable isn't the aforementioned as actuality persecuted. The fact that you can't acquaint the aberration is actually absolutely revealing. Trump's face contorted with frustration. You don't get to acquaint me what I'm experiencing. You don't get to ascertain my reality. I know aback I'm actuality attacked because it happens to me consistently from the media, from my opponents, from bodies who smiled to my face and afresh stabbed me in the back. You anticipate you're different? You anticipate your affable British manners make this annihilation added than what it is. Norton stepped afterpiece now, and his voice agitated a weight it hadn't before. What absolutely do you anticipate this is, Donald? Because from area I'm standing, this is a man who's so acclimated to people either adherent him or antisocial him that he's absolutely abandoned how to accept a normal animal interaction. You came on this appearance assured one of two things. Either I'd amusement you like a baron or I'd attack you like an enemy. And aback I did neither. Aback I artlessly advised you like a bedfellow and asked you questions. Your entire framework collapsed. The observation landed like a concrete blow. Trump stood there, his aperture slightly open, disturbing to codify a response. For conceivably the aboriginal time in the absolute exchange, he looked genuinely uncertain. Norton continued, his voice quieter now. I don't adoration you and I don't abhorrence you, Donald. I'm curious about you. I capital to accept how someone with your background, your experiences, your belvedere sees the world. But you won't let anyone in. You can't, because the moment you stop performing, the moment you're aloof, a person sitting on a couch accepting a conversation, you're accessible, and you can't acquiesce yourself to be vulnerable. Trump's articulation aback, he assuredly Batten was tight with almost controlled emotion. Vulnerability is weakness. In my world, you appearance weakness and you're done. Finished. Body's aroma claret in the water and they abort you. So, no, I don't do vulnerable. I do strong. I do winning. I do fighting. That's how you survive. Norton's announcement ashen almost imperceptibly. But, Donald, you're not in your apple appropriate now. You're in mine. And in this world, on this couch, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the only affair that absolutely connects people. All those millions of bodies you say adulation you, do they really? Or do they love the appearance you play? The performance? Because I don't think you've let anyone see the absolute person underneath in a actual connected time. Maybe ever. The blackout that followed was deafening. Trump's face cycled through emotions, anger, confusion, something that ability except been pain. Aback, he spoke. His articulation was almost aloft a whisper, but somehow added able than when he'd been shouting. The absolute person underneath doesn't matter. What matters is what you accomplish, what you build, the mark you leave. Aggregate abroad is just noise. Norton befuddled his head slowly. That's the saddest affair you've said all night. Because at the end of the day, barrios crumble, empires fall, and what you've accomplished becomes a comment in history books. What absolutely affairs is the connections you made, the affection you showed, the humanity you brought to the world. And from aggregate, you've said tonight, I'm not abiding you accept that at all. Trump looked at Norton with an expression that was adamantine to read. Contempt, pity, recognition. You animate in a fantasy world, Graham. A nice fantasy where actuality, affectionate, and authoritative bodies laugh is enough. But that's not the real world. The absolute apple is adamantine and cruel, and if you're not boxy enough, it eats you alive. I've survived because I'm tougher than anybody else. That's not sad. That's triumph. Norton best up his wine bottle again, bouncing the liquid thoughtfully. Is it, though? Because from area I'm sitting, you look exhausted. You attending angry. You attending like a man who's been affronted for so long he's abandoned what he was affronted for in the aboriginal place. That's not triumph, Donald. That's tragedy. Trump's eyes flashed with article dangerous. Don't you cartel psychoanalyze me. You don't know me. You don't apperceive what I've been through. You don't apperceive what it takes to be me. So accumulate your benevolence and your psychology and your wine and your comfortable little life. I don't need any of it. Norton met his boring evenly. You're right. I don't apperceive what it's like to be you, but I apperceive what I see. And what I see is a man who's terrified of actuality apparent as annihilation beneath than perfect, beneath than powerful, beneath than right. And that alarm has fabricated you incapable of accepting a genuine conversation with addition animal being. That's not my judgment. That's just observation. Trump affected his jacket fully now, putting it on with sharp, aggressive movements. I'm done with your observations. I'm done with this whole charade. You capital a show. Congratulations, you got one. But don't pretend this was any time about conversation. This was about you trying to achieve yourself attending acute at my expense. Aggravating to account credibility with your admirers by demography shots at me. Well, adore your moment, Graham. Because that's all it is. A moment. I'll still be here. still fighting, still winning long afterwards bodies balloon this ever happened. Norton smiled, and there was genuine anguish in it. Bodies won't forget this happened, Donald. That's the thing about moments like these. They reveal who bodies absolutely are. And you've revealed yourself tonight at it than you probably realize. Not in what you said, but in how you reacted to artlessly being treated like anybody else. Trump moved toward the exit, his movement stiff with blood-soaked pride. He affronted aback one last time, pointing at Norton. You think you won article actuality tonight? You think you got the bigger of me? But all you did was prove absolutely what I've been saying all along. The media, the establishment, bodies like you. You can't handle anyone who doesn't comedy by your rules, who doesn't bow down, who doesn't apologize. I never apologize, Graham. Not to you. Not to anyone, because I accept annihilation to apologize for. Norton's articulation followed him calm and clear. I never asked you to apologize, Donald. I alone asked you to accept a conversation, but I accept that was too much to ask. Trump paused at the door, his back to Norton and the cameras and the bashful audience. For a moment it seemed like he ability about face around. Like he ability say article else, but he didn't. He pushed through the aperture and was gone. Abrogation abaft a flat full of bodies who had aloof witnessed something that would be talked about. For years to come, Norton affronted to the camera, his accord never wavering, though article in his eyes suggested the barter had afflicted him added than he was absolution on. He best up his wine glass and aloft it slightly. Well, that was different. The admirers erupted in applause, admitting it was cryptic what exactly they were applauding. The moment itself, Norton's administration of it, the sheer adventurousness of what they'd just witnessed. Norton let them acclaim for a moment afore adopting his duke for quiet. I anticipate that's apparently enough excitement for one evening. Thank you all for actuality to attestant television history of some sort. So, there you have it. The account that concluded afore it really began. The affray that nobody expected, but conceivably anybody should have apparent coming. If you fabricated it this far, achieve abiding, you subscribe and beat a comment beneath answering this question. Do you anticipate Graham Norton was appropriate to push aback the way he did, or should he have gone easier on his guest? Let me know what you think.